Superfighters, a name that sounds a bit familiar to those who have dabbled in local multiplayer flash games of the fighting variety. Being released in the early 2010s, this flash game was developed by the studio Mythologic Interactive and is downloadable for free on their website. Since it remains playable even after the unfortunate demise of Adobe Flash Player, it makes for quite a good pick for a two-player game session. In this video, I'll be breaking down the game's features, mechanics, and weapons of this pixel brawl of a game. So, start the game, pick a game mode, and vanquish your foes with a simple yet engaging combat system. Speaking of, let's start with the controls. I'll go over the default ones, though you can easily adjust them in the menu. You use arrow keys to move, and the up arrow allows you to jump. Jumping drains your stamina a bit, but you can do it indefinitely. Press the down arrow. This makes you duck. Ducking is good for keeping low, but you'll usually make use of its more mobile counterpart, rolling. To roll, tap down while going into any direction. This allows you to close the distance, dodge the bullets and melee attacks. It also lets you extinguish the fire when you're set ablaze. To add more speed to your walking, double tap a direction to start sprinting, resulting in higher speeds at the expense of your stamina bar. Another thing you can do while sprinting is a dive, a move that allows you to ignore fall damage, knock down your opponent, and evade almost all projectiles. The enemies grabbed by the dive move can also receive additional damage from hitting the ground. Two more things I'd like to add. The stamina bar is essentially just a cooldown thing for sprinting. It recovers hastily over time, so you don't really have to worry about that. Secondly, the explosions can and will interrupt every single of these moves. Just a little heads up that will come in handy. Combat. Melee combat is incredibly bare bones and essentially done by a single button. The N button is used for fighting the enemy up close with either your fists or a melee weapon if you have one. You can also use it to kick players below you and objects in front of you. The M button is your go-to for range attacks. Hold it to aim, using the directional keys to adjust the angle and the direction of the shot, and release to fire. Tapping the fire key fires the weapon in the direction you're facing or in the same angle as your previous shot should you tap it shortly after your last ranged attack. When firing automatic weapons, you can do minor adjustments to the follow-up shots. The comma button comes in handy for when you wanna throw grenades and molotovs at your opponent. Mechanics-wise, it's similar to the regular shots, but you pull the pin when you start aiming, which is both an advantage and a detriment at the same time. Both the grenade throws and shots can be interrupted by tapping the melee attack button. You press the dot button when you pick up the slow motion pickup. This slows the time for either 5 or 10 seconds, depending on the number displayed on the power-up. In such state, you and your projectiles are slowed down less than other players. The slow-mo can be manually deactivated by pressing the input again. Weapons. In this game, there's a wide variety of weapons to spice up the combat. You pick these up by walking over the item pickups, but you have to crouch in the melee to swap your current weapon for the new one. However, you can also do the crouch melee during the rolls and dives, allowing you to pick up the weapons in the middle of a fight with ease. You have 4 weapon slots, one for the melee weapon, one for a firearm, one for a throwable, and one for the slow-mo power-up. Let's start with the melee weapons then. The axe deals moderate damage at a slow rate and sufficient reach, knocking down enemies in a few hits, and killing in 9. It also deals a decent amount of hit stun too. Machete is great for chipping away enemy health at the pace of 10 hits to kill. It comes out fast and knocks down every 3 hits. Sword kills in 7 hits, comes out fast and reaches far. Overall, a powerhouse in terms of melee. However, watch out for the overhead slash as it makes you vulnerable during its recovery animation. There is 8 different guns in this game, Every round you start with a pistol. You get 12 shots, small recoil, decent accuracy, and moderately low damage. It takes 10 shots to deplete a full health bar. The shotgun comes with 8 shots and shreds enemies up close. The damage is sufficient for chipping away enemy health from a distance too, giving it further versatility. Do you fancy heating up the battle? Then the flamethrower is for you. It can fire 6 10-round bursts, penetrating cover and igniting your foes. Magnum is a viable replacement for the pistol, taking 6 shots and impressive stopping power. If you don't miss more than 3 shots, you can quickly devastate your target. The bazooka offers 3 shots that can easily turn the tide of battle. The splash damage is quite strong, and direct hits just outright delete the target of the map. To offset its power, the long-range accuracy of the weapon is terrible. On the contrary, the 5-shot sniper rifle is a deadly tool from afar. It also comes with a laser sight and enough power to pierce through some forms of cover. Your burst fire options consist of the assault rifle and the mini Uzi. Both have 25 shots, 5-shot bursts each. However, the two differ in their accuracy. As for the throwables, you can use either grenades or Molotov cocktails. Every round you start with 3 grenades, by the way. The grenades have a 3-second fuse and you can carry 3 of them. They can't pass through platforms and explode prematurely when shot. Use them to restrict enemy movements, get them out of cover, or just surprise them with an explosion. The grenades can be kicked away though, so you might wanna watch out for that. Molotov cocktails erupt into flames on impact or when shot. You can also carry 3 of them. But this time there's no fuse and mostly you use it for ground control and putting pressure on the enemy. Other objects on the map. Of course, knowing your surroundings is pretty vital as well. See those narrow horizontal lines? Those are platforms. You can stand on them, jump through them, and if you double tap crouch, you can even drop through them. Bullets also pass through the platforms. There's also a large variety of objects. You can basically use anything tall enough as a cover, and you can manually take cover by tapping the direction key after walking into the object. You can shoot and throw grenades from cover at the cost of temporary vulnerability. The red barrels explode and spread fire when shot, useful for wreaking havoc and igniting enemies. There's jerrycans too, which serve a similar, though less flashy purpose. Tables can be kicked over to provide cover. They're very brittle, so I'd consider the tables more of an improvised source of cover. What the tables truly excel is being a hindrance for the other player. Wooden boxes can take more hits, and sometimes they spawn a background item like a TV or a beach ball when destroyed. Not a bad cover, but there's better options. Grey barrels and square objects on the stage are the most useful source of cover, since they can soak up most of the gunfire without breaking down. Then there's the small objects and glass panels that can be destroyed. They serve no purpose, but it looks cool when you wreck them. They're sliders for some upwards mobility. You can go up and down by holding the direction keys, and you can also slide downwards, allowing you to knock others off the ladder. You might have noticed these doorways marked with a green arrow. They're used for transporting things, players, and throwables upwards and downwards. Sometimes the weapon pickups are replaced with a pill bottle or a medkit that replenish 25 and 50% of your health respectively. The HP slowly regenerates over time anyway, but these items can refill it faster. The last thing to watch out for is the stage hazards that can instantly kill a player. There's 2 types. The first type is the endless pit on the map's rooftop and hazardous. And the second one is the hanging rectangular box that can be shot down. The latter can crush a player upon landing and appears on the map's storage, hazardous, and sometimes spawns on the test floor map. Mechanics. Lastly, I'm going to sum up the mechanics. Game modes. You can choose out of 3 game modes. Versus mode, which is the game's main PvP mode, stage mode, which offers 12 PvE levels and one unlockable costume, and the third one is a PvE survival mode. Knockbacks and knockdowns. Pretty much self-explanatory. Shotguns and sniper rifles have more knockback on hit, and you can repeatedly shoot a knockback enemy. Iframes. You only get invincibility frames at the start of the round and when recovering from a knockdown. Disarming. When you smack an enemy with their gun out, you disarm them. The gun's hitbox is the same as its size. Friendly fire. You can hit and damage your allies with guns and grenades, but not with melee attacks. Bazooka steering. Upon a direct hit from the bazooka, the target is impaled onto the rocket, allowing it to turn using the directional inputs. So yeah, that's everything in the whole game. It's briefer than browsing the still unfinished wiki, but it still dragged on for longer than I expected. I hope this was of some use to you, and maybe it even gave you a new thingy to play. I had a great time doing a piece on another game I hold near and dear to me. I would like to thank you for checking out my stuff, providing feedback, as well as getting me to my first 5 subs. You are all awesome. As always, more stuff to come, and have a great day. Shirtlight, signing out.